welcome all to the official opening of the new facility of the Massachusetts Veterans Home at Chelsea. Thank you all for joining us to celebrate this ribbon cutting. Please join me as Bill Kane, a resident here for almost 9 years, leads us in the Pledge of Allegiance, and we ask you to stand.
I pledge allegiance to the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, Bill. Now please welcome Secretary John Santiago for his opening remarks.
Thank you, Robert. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Governor Healey, Secretary McDonough, Senator Warren, Deputy Assistant Secretary Adams, who I might add, Mr. Secretary, has been such an ally and great asset for us here in the Commonwealth. To each of you, welcome to Chelsea, and thank you for playing your important role in making today happen. And a special thank you to all of you out there today, whether you contributed to the construction of this building, provide the quality of care for our veterans who depend on it, or if you're a veteran resident and a family member, thank you for believing in Chelsea. I also want to recognize the Board of Trustees. I see Chairman Lyons there, and Ira and Don. Our partners at DCAM, Consigli, Payette, DPH, the VA, our friends in labor, and our legislative colleagues. I'm grateful to all of you and to our entire team. Because we rise and fall together, and this team right here has risen to the occasion. You've been able to work through broken supply chains, a global pandemic, and periods of instability to get us past the finish line. So today, we celebrate. We not only celebrate this physical masterpiece, but we celebrate starting a new chapter when it comes to veterans care in Massachusetts. We celebrate another victory in our commitment to honorably serve those who served us. And we celebrate you. Because what we've been able to accomplish here will be the gold standard, and our veterans deserve no less. And days like yesterday, which was the 82nd anniversary of Pearl Harbor, serves as a reminder of why we do what we do. I spent that morning at a remembrance event in Boston. Despite the pomp and circumstance, events like that offer us an opportunity not just to reflect on the bravery that was on display 82 years ago, but it serves as a call to recommit ourselves to something much bigger than just us. And for me, it definitely did. You see, I had the opportunity to meet a Mr. Freeman Johnson. Now, Freeman lives in Barnstable, Massachusetts, and he isn't your typical Navy veteran. Freeman is 103 years old. And not only did he fight and survive Pearl Harbor, he was also part of the crew that helped deliver President Franklin Roosevelt to the Yalta Conference in 1945. Now, what struck me about Freeman was his calm and deferential demeanor. I saw him salute fellow sailors, gingerly stand up to shake strangers' hands, even if he struggled with a pretty weak back, and how he remained stoic throughout the entire event. So after I gave my remarks, I sat down by him, and I couldn't help but think about all he's seen in this world, and what he thinks about our country, and what's become of it. And if he thought his sacrifices were worth it. Now, I didn't ask him. I'm sure he's still strong enough to tell me to shut up and leave. But I let my mind just wander for a bit, and I began to think about our shared history, from Freeman to me, from Freeman to each and every one of you, veterans and non-veterans alike. You see, I don't think Freeman Johnson fought in Pearl Harbor 82 years ago just for his fellow sailors. He fought for our country, he fought for our values, he fought for me, and he fought for you, so that one day we'd be able to live freely. So to me, We are here today because of people like Freeman. We're here today because people like the veterans and the residents who call this new place home. I'm so honored to be part of this new chapter for veterans in the Commonwealth, implementing Governor Healey's vision to make Massachusetts the envy of the country when it comes to veteran services. So, Mr. Secretary, we got big plans here in Massachusetts when it comes to our veterans. And I look forward to working closely with you and your team to achieve them. Because like you, we want to end veterans' homelessness. We want to address the scourge of suicide. We want to improve outreach, and we want everyone to sign up for the PACT Act if eligible. But we want to do it alongside you and our partners here in Massachusetts, and to do it in alignment with everyone who believes that veterans deserve our utmost and our best. Because as soon as today's ribbon is cut, and as soon as all the visitors leave and the doors close, tomorrow will arrive, and with that, the challenge to provide our veterans the care they deserve will still be here. And my hope and my belief is that we will once again rise to the occasion. So I'm proud to be part of the Healey-Driscoll administration who feels the very same way. And that's doing so with action and not just words. An administration that is leading with urgency, with empathy, and with results. Because whether it's breaking ground on a brand new veterans home in Holyoke, I see Superintendent Lazo here, whether it's putting forth the most comprehensive veterans legislative package offered by a governor in decades, whether it's committing more resources to working class families and students to make Massachusetts more affordable, more competitive, and more equitable, Governor Healey and the team are just getting started. I'm proud about today, and I'm excited about what's to come. So I thank you for allowing me to be part of this journey. And to our veterans and family members out there, today is for you. So thank you. And now I'd like to introduce perhaps the most important individual who's been kind of leading the ship, our team captain here, who has been dedicated not to just veterans and making sure it's at the forefront of her agenda, but their families as well. I think many of you know, whether you're a family member here or a veteran, when you get deployed, right, your family stays at home. And Governor Healey, in the work that she's been doing at the State House when it comes to housing, affordability, she's always talking about the families. And that's why I'm so honored to welcome her and to share some remarks. Governor Healey.
Good morning, everyone. It is really wonderful and exciting to be here as we welcome and take in the honor of being joined by United States Secretary of Veterans Affairs, Secretary McDonough. Thank you so much for coming to Massachusetts to celebrate our partnership with the Veterans Administration, with the Biden administration. We're also delighted to be joined, of course, by Senator Warren, who's been a champion for our state and for our veterans. And I really do want to begin by thanking John Santiago. You know, I want to acknowledge our legislators in the room, Senator Sal DiDomenico, Representative Judith Garcia. We made a decision in this state that was important, and that was to make a cabinet-level secretariat for veterans and service members. I was proud to have the honor of being able to appoint Secretary Santiago as the first secretary. He's built out an incredible team, and we're very, very excited by what's possible. We spent time together just months ago out in Holyoke, which was the scene and site of a lot of trauma, right? And it was there for a ribbon cutting and a new day and a new chapter. And I just want to thank you, Secretary Santiago and Deputy Secretary Gail Bennett, for your leadership and the team's work, working with folks like Superintendent Engel and Superintendent Lazo and others, the staff, those who were putting the time in and day out here and in Holyoke and at places across this great state in service of those who have served. There's nothing more important for us to do than to take care of those who have served. Veterans, service members, their families. And so today is a really moving day. It's an important day. This is a historic investment for our state, certainly a historic investment here in Chelsea. It's wonderful to see the chief and others represented here from our wonderful Chelsea community. And I just am so grateful to all who made it possible, from those who helped with the construction, the architects, you name it. A lot of exciting work represented right here. I also want to thank members of the board and members of our veterans community. I look out at so many leaders, and I just want to say how proud I have been, both as your Attorney General and now as Governor, to work with you guys on a lot of stuff. And there's a lot more to do. We do feel like, as Secretary Santiago said, we're just getting started, but we're happy with the start. We're happy with the start. I also want to take a moment this morning to recognize a profound loss our state experienced last week. Last week, we received word that Air Force Staff Sergeant Jake Gallagher, who grew up in Pittsfield, went to school in Dalton, Mass., lost his life in that Osprey helicopter crash off the coast of Japan. And Jake was just 24 years old. He had a really full and wonderful life, and married. He's got a 2-year-old and a now 8-week-old who he leaves behind, and a wife who is returning here. He was a true hero of his community and of our country, and I just want to take a moment to honor Jake and his family, and to think about the families who are deployed right now overseas. Thank you. Thank you. And we're here today to say thank you. Thank you to all of you who've given so much. We just had an opportunity. Thank you very much, Bill, for the Pledge of Allegiance. We had an opportunity to visit folks upstairs and see this wonderful, wonderful space. But I just want to begin by thanking our veterans for defending our freedoms, for making possible everything that we hold dear here in this Commonwealth and in this state. The meaning and the purpose of this investment here, this Massachusetts Veterans Home in Chelsea, I like the new name. It's simply what our veterans have earned and deserve. It follows the VA's design principles for dignity and autonomy in a home-like environment. It's state-of-the-art, which we love in Massachusetts, right? We love to be state-of-the-art and leading. It's sustainable. It's a healthy building. There's like geothermal stuff outside, guys. It's very cool. It's amazing. And, we're showing off here. A rooftop array of solar that's helping power this place. It's exactly where we need to be. And I just really applaud all of those who've come together to make it happen. I also want to acknowledge that this is a facility that their veterans, their families, the staff who cares for them, I hope there's a pride felt by everyone who enters this building and spends time in this building. We know that the COVID pandemic made some things painfully and tragically clear. It showed also the resources the staff need and deserve, and the resources that were not always provided to them. And that was laid bare in the COVID pandemic, and we must never let that happen again. So this represents a new era of care, a new era of commitment to our veterans in Massachusetts. It was reflected in our budget. To my friends, we'll be filing a new one soon, but we thank you. Last year, over $11 million, 7% increase. That was great. It's reflected in the dedication of Secretary Santiago and his team. It's reflected in the HERO Act, which we were proud to file. Major legislation to support our veterans filed last month that will do a number of things, including expanding access to mental and behavioral health care, doubling our veterans annuity, and giving cities and towns more options to find ways to support our veterans. And so much more. And no, we look forward to working with the legislature to get that done. This home, it's representing a labor of love and of respect. And we're thrilled to see the veteran residents who've already been enjoying this building. We look forward to more moving in. And we're also excited about additional spaces that are going to be built on this very site. So I want to give my heartfelt thanks to everyone who made it possible. And As governor, this is the kind of thing that gives me incredible pride. And it's a solemn responsibility that Lieutenant Governor Driscoll and I take very seriously. What can we do day in and day out, every day, to make sure that our veterans, their service members, and their families are cared for? So it's in that spirit that I now want to introduce a member of President Biden's cabinet, an accomplished national leader. We'd love to claim him as a native son, okay? But he had the misfortune, I suppose, of being born after his parents moved from Massachusetts. His mom grew up in Billerica, and he says it the right way, too, by the way, and moved to Minnesota. But nevertheless, we welcome him to Massachusetts always, and certainly today. He has served in key roles for many, many years, including key national security roles for President Barack Obama, before being named White House Chief of Staff in 2013. In 2021, he was nominated by President Biden, confirmed by the Senate, and sworn in as our country's 11th Secretary of Veterans Affairs. I saw how he interacted with the gentleman upstairs, and for all his titles and all his accomplishments, that says the most about the person. And I was very moved watching your interactions, Mr. Secretary, and I know how much this means to you. So let's give a warm and proud welcome to our nation's champion for veterans, Secretary Denis McDonough.
Such a generous and kind introduction, and I was saying to Governor Healey that I hear everybody who speaks like my mother. Feels really good to be back, and I obviously can't help but think of my mom here. Thank you not only for the kind introduction, but your overall record of service to the people of Massachusetts, and the way that you have elevated the role of veterans in your administration, including through the appointment of John, is really amazing. So thank you for that. Senator Warren, thank you for making this ceremony possible by reaching across the aisle to help deliver the funding, the federal part of the funding for this state-of-the-art facility for 154 vets. So without these two great leaders, this facility just would not be possible. I want to also obviously just recognize one more time, John, for your great work. Dwayne Gill for his outstanding leadership of the New England healthcare system. Vincent Eng, who's the director of our VA Boston healthcare system. Ina Lima, who represents our regional office here in Boston, as well as in Manchester and White River Junction. Importantly, the representatives of our VSOs and our veterans, and then of course our state, local, and community leaders. I'm delighted to be able to join this ceremony. The ribbon cutting is the result, as we've just heard, of hard work and cooperation of many, many people. Several we're about to recognize. Engineers, heard from the chief architect, planners, safety personnel, housekeepers, quality assurance, interior design staff, many others. I so admire and appreciate what you've done for this community, for the state, and most importantly, for vets and their amazing families. So the entire team who worked tirelessly for this, thank you for getting us here. You know, cutting a ribbon on a new community living center really resonates because today's Department of Veterans Affairs traces its very roots to what were essentially community living centers for vets. The first one was in Maine. I'm going to talk about that for a minute. The second one was right here in Massachusetts. But that first one up in Togus, Maine, the eastern branch of what were called back then National Homes for Disabled Volunteer Soldiers, opened in 1866. They opened the doors to care for Civil War soldiers who had saved the Union and freed slaves the places of community, places they called home. Civil War veteran Henry Spalding, one of those early residents, described it as a haven of refuge for them in their old age. Of course, we've come a long way over the century and a half, and thankfully, much has changed. Today's CLCs provide comprehensive spectrum of care that includes skilled nursing, rehabilitation services, mental health support. Today's CLCs offer integrated support services like physical therapy, recreational activities, social engagement programs to promote a real sense of community. And they're designed to prioritize safety, security, and as the governor said, dignity of these great heroes. What hasn't changed in that time is the courage, the character, and the dignity of the veterans who call this and will call this home. People Henry Spalding described as good a type of veterans as there can be found anywhere. Good fathers, good husbands, good soldiers, good citizens. I'm thinking of veterans like the 78-year-old Air Force vet Vernon Barber, a father of 6. There he is. Vernon was born the year World War II ended, and he grew up during segregation. Graduated from George Washington Carver High School, an all-black high school in St. Mary's County, Maryland. But segregation and racism did not stop Vernon from joining the Air Force. In fact, Vernon enlisted in the Air Force because, in his own words, he wanted to do something good for this country. And boy, did he ever. While he's drafted into an integrated army, some of the same challenges of racism that existed in Maryland were there when he served in Vietnam. But Vernon believed in America, in the promise of America. He hoped that one day the nation for which he was willing to sacrifice his life would make good on its promises to all citizens, including him. After his honorable discharge, he continued his service to the nation by working for the Department of Defense and retired after years of service with the Department of Transportation. Today, America and VA are making good on its promises in this building to Airman First Class Barber. Mr. Barber, as I told you upstairs, we're grateful for you and for your devoted service to this nation, so welcome home. And I'm also thinking of vets like 85-year-old Air Force vet Francis D. Leonard. Is Francis here? Now, when my team reached out to Francis earlier this week to ask a few questions about his service, he said, "I'm in the middle of a bingo game, so can I get back to it? Can we talk tomorrow?" So I can appreciate that. A native Bostonian who served in the Air National Guard before joining the Air Force during the Vietnam War in 1961. He would continue his military service and retire from the reserves. He used his GI Bill to earn a degree in education from Boston State College, and he worked as an industrial arts teacher for 32 years. Today, Francis enjoys watching TV, listening to James Taylor and the Beatles, because who doesn't? Right here in his new home. So we thank Mr. Leonard for his service to the nation and welcome him home too. So what hasn't changed since those days at Togus is what President Biden calls our nation's most sacred obligation, which Governor Healey manifests every day in Massachusetts, to prepare and equip the troops we send into harm's way and to care for them and their families when they come home. And that's what we're here for today, to serve veterans every bit as well as they have served us. Now, today's a celebration. Before I close, I want to just share something that weighs heavily on my mind and I know is on the mind of so many others in the room. And that's where we've failed some vets in our community living centers, in our state veteran homes, including right here in this amazing state. We all know COVID-19 changed so much. And during the height of the pandemic, some state-run homes fell short, as the governor just said. And we at VA fell short in providing effective oversight and adequate support too. Senator Warren has helped us come to understand just how we did that. We didn't do as well as we should in keeping vets safe. And when each of us is not doing our part, it's vets, their families, their caregivers, and survivors who pay the price. And that's just not acceptable. We can't ever let it happen again, and we're going to continue to fight like hell to ensure we get it right. Working together, holding each other accountable, being accountable to our vets, and being accountable to our healthcare providers and staff, these great veteran-centered staff in this building. When we do all that, we know that will never happen again. Veterans place their trust in our hands. They place their very lives in our hands. And here's what I do know. When it comes to Massachusetts vets, that trust is well placed in all of you. Here's why. This building, these new capabilities are essential for Massachusetts vets. But it's also important to remember that the most important element will always be the people who serve vets every single day. Like David, whom we just met upstairs. Because machines and technology enable better care, but they don't deliver it. They don't deliver care and comfort and compassion. People do. You do. Your sisters do. Buildings and facilities provide greater access and opportunities, and this one unlike any other in the country. But they don't interact with the veterans, family members, and caregivers. You do. And you will be the ones each and every day who will make a difference in the lives of vets and their families here in this great Commonwealth. So thank you for joining us today on this very special day here in Chelsea. It's super to be here. I wish I could speak like my mom, but I can't actually. God bless you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you so very much. It's now my privilege to introduce Senator Warren.
Thank you. Thank you. We are here today to celebrate. We are here to celebrate this extraordinary, beautiful new building. We are here to celebrate our veterans. We are here to celebrate the families of our veterans. We are here to celebrate the caregivers for our veterans. And we are here to celebrate the people who helped make this happen. This is an important day for Massachusetts because it gives us a chance to show tangibly how much we care for our veterans. We are not just about words. We're about putting those words into action. We're about putting them into a beautiful building. I want to thank Governor Healey and her team, including Secretary of Veterans Services John Santiago, for their tireless work to ensure that the Veterans Home here in Chelsea provides not just care, but first-rate care for all of our veterans. Can we have a round of applause on that? I also want to thank Secretary McDonough for coming up here for this ribbon-cutting ceremony to help us celebrate the progress that we're making here in Massachusetts. And a very special thank you to Senator DiDomenico and Representative Garcia, who are champions for their community every day and helped get the funding so that we could do this building. Thank you very much. I particularly wanted to be here today because supporting our vets is very personal for me. All three of my brothers served. I am a sister. My oldest brother was career military, 288 combat missions in Vietnam. And like 31 veterans right here at the Chelsea Soldiers Home, he lost his life during the COVID pandemic. Coming here today is a way to underscore the responsibility that we have to our veterans in good times and bad. We are here today to open a new chapter. The old Chelsea Soldiers Home facility failed for years to deliver the care that veterans deserve. And worse, the Trump administration's VA leadership refused to hold anyone accountable for the failure. As news of conditions at this and other homes for veterans began to surface, Senator Markey, Representative Presley, and I pushed for an audit. That investigation confirms some of the worst reports for homes around the country. So we are here today to celebrate turning a page. But I will not forget the 31 veterans who died here during the COVID pandemic. Veterans deserve outstanding care and dignified treatment, no matter how hard the circumstances are. Every veteran's home must meet the highest standard of care, and those who manage the homes must be held accountable for their conditions. Personnel is policy, and I am glad that Governor Healey moved quickly and decisively to hire new leadership for the veterans' homes. She made a great choice in recruiting Secretary Santiago to lead the charge. A veteran himself, I can't think of anyone better to be serving in this role. You bet. You look around a place like this and we all admire it, but understand this. This state-of-the-art facility reflects the decisive leadership Governor Healey and Secretary Santiago have provided, starting with the construction of this new care facility. I also want to just underscore one more time that we have a top-flight partner in Secretary McDonough, who shows through his tireless work that the VA is committed to its mission. Under his leadership, the Biden administration asked Congress to increase state grant levels to support these homes on top of what was already an historically high request the year before. The part I love best, though, is not what they've already done. It's that the Secretary is looking for additional ways that the federal government can step up and help cover these costs, which I want you to know we appreciate. So this is about opening a new chapter, and it's about all we plan to do, not just to enjoy this building, but all we plan to do in the future. I am grateful for those who serve our country. I am grateful for the families of those who serve our veterans. I am grateful for the people who show up every day to work for our veterans. I am grateful for leaders who make veterans a priority. You are the ones who make our nation strong. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, Senator Warren. It's a privilege to welcome one of our family members, and we welcome Mary Bender up.
Thank you to all of the secretaries, Governor Healey. Thank you, Senator Warren. Thank you all so much for making this day possible. I am proud to represent the Bender family today, as I was asked to speak about our experiences here at the Chelsea Soldiers Home. My brother Jim a proud Army veteran, has been a resident here since April of 2022. Jim had a long career as an ATF investigator when he first began having strokes. He soon became disabled. We come from a family of 7 kids, and Jim is blessed to have 5 sisters who love and care for him. When he was accepted here at Chelsea, we sisters, of course, all began coming around to make sure he was well taken care of. Every visit would begin with the question, "How are they treating you, Jim?" And because we come from a very sarcastic family, his response always was, "The beatings have yet to commence." I think the administration here must cringe, but that's the way we talk. When we first got here, this building was standing, but not yet open. So Jim was at Quigley. We were not impressed by the building at all, but it didn't take us long to realize that Jim had a host of dedicated caretakers. So we would look longingly at this building, waiting for the day when the facility would be as wonderful as the staff. On October 18th, that day arrived. Jim moved into a clean, bright room with breathtaking views and a huge TV. As I told him that day, it'll feel like you're standing right next to Mac Jones when he drops the ball. As family members, we were also glad to see all the safety features and the state-of-the-art equipment. But most importantly for us, this place is so welcoming and homey. We spent the day after Thanksgiving here with Jim and extended family, sharing leftovers and laughs as we played board games, just like any family. This space also allows us to get to know the staff who care for Jim. They always have stories and observations about how he's doing, and that to us is invaluable. From social workers, nursing staff, aides, therapists, cleaners, and Jen from food services, who knows what a picky eater Jim is and always has his favorite bologna and cheese sandwiches for him. We feel good about where Jim is today and the care he is getting. I've been showing off pictures of his new room to anyone who'll look at it to say what a wonderful job the state is doing by these veterans. Having such a facility as this available for Jim and his fellow veterans shows that we as a society have our priorities in the right place. We are able to say our brother is a resident of the Chelsea Veterans Home without worry or guilt or fear that maybe his care is less than. We thank you all for that. And one more thing, on behalf of our entire family, go Army, beat Navy!
Thank you so very much, Mary, for you and to the entire family for being here, being part of our community, and for helping us to grow that sense of community within our organization. It's now my privilege to welcome Secretary Santiago back to the podium to deliver special recognitions. Secretary McDonough, Governor Healey, and Senator Warren, please join the Secretary up at the podium.
Well, as I mentioned earlier, we at the Executive Office of Veteran Services, we have a clear and unwavering vision. And again, that's to honorably serve those who served us. And that vision is brought to life and executed daily by the staff at our 2 veteran homes, particularly the 329 employees here at Chelsea. If you're a staff member here at Chelsea, can you just quickly just raise your hand? I think we just want to take a... Thank you so much for what you do. And as a staff person on the front lines, the work that you do day in, day out to support our veteran communities, to provide that bologna sandwich, to serve them, it really means a lot to me. And I think sometimes that work goes unnoticed, but we're here to honor that and respect that. In fact, nearly 90 employees here have more than 20 years of service working with our veterans here in Chelsea. Let's give them a round of applause. One of the things I took away on my first visit to Chelsea was walking around each individual department and speaking to staff and meeting folks who've been here for 20 years, 30 years. And in this day and age, and that's a statement. It's a statement about their commitment to the community, to our veterans, and to Chelsea. And as you can imagine, we've seen a lot of change over the years, particularly with opening up this new state-of-the-art facility. And today we want to recognize 4 employees whose commitment spans decades. And so I'm going to call the 4 employees up here. Peter Lancelieve, Rosa Orillo, George Lima, and Michelle Taylor. I'm just going to read a little bio about each of them, and then we'll have you folks stand over here, and I think the secretary of the V has something to give you. Peter first joined the home in 1997, working in the kitchen. Through programming offered by the Commonwealth, Peter went on to pursue education as a certified nursing assistant and later as a licensed practical nurse, finishing near the top of his class. He's a 3rd-generation employee of the Veterans Home, following the footsteps of his mother, grandmother, and is a native of Everett and a proud dad to Savannah. Thank you, Peter. Rosa Orillo. Yeah. And Rosa and I actually go way back before this new position. Rosa has been a member of the Environmental Services team at the Veterans Homes for nearly 30 years. A native of Chelsea, Rosa has spent her career in service to our residents at the Quigley Medical Hospital and is now here in this beautiful facility. She takes tremendous pride in maintaining clean and a welcoming home for our veterans and values the connections she has made with our residents. In her words, the Veterans Home is like her second home, and the residents and the families are like an extension to her own family. Thank you, Rosa. George has been a member of the dietary team at the Veterans Homes for 22 years, and if you ask George, he's in it for at least another 20. He began his career here as a dishwasher and worked his way through the ranks, eventually spending 12 years as a cook before being promoted to supervisor in 2022. Anyone who knows George knows he takes his job seriously and goes beyond and cares for our veterans. Like all the staff at the Veterans Home, it's all about the service to our veterans, and it's about creating the small moments that make them happy. So thank you, George. And Michelle Taylor, who was up with us on the 6th floor earlier today, she's been a dedicated member of the nursing department for more than 37 years. She started her career as a newly minted LPN, and after caring for residents, Michelle went on to pursue education to become a registered nurse and has worked on multiple units, med-surg, even in the operating room. At what was then the Quigley Medical Hospital, 13 years ago, she became an MDS coordinator. To Michelle, it's simple. You don't stay anywhere for 38 years if you don't love what you do. But when residents, colleagues, and their families feel like your own, it's easy. Thank you, Michelle. So if you guys want to come here, or the secretary has this. Yeah. Rosa, take a picture. We get a picture. Yeah.
I'll be on this end.
Everybody smile, keep your eyes open.
One for
Rosa wants to get back to work. We got one more. We got one more here.
And before we proceed to the actual ribbon cutting portion of the program, I want to recognize one individual in the audience today. Many of you know this man, but for those of you who are not acquainted with, Superintendent Michael Lazo of Holyoke, can you please come up here? Superintendent Lazo started working at the Veterans Home at Holyoke during the COVID-19 pandemic and has led the stabilization efforts there for the past 3 years. No one has done more to turn around the operation at Holyoke than Superintendent Michael Lazo. His steadfast dedication and commanding leadership have created a positive working environment for both the staff and the veterans who live there. We asked one of Michael's employees, who happens to be a tenured staff member at the Veterans Home, what's it like to have Michael as a boss? And this is what the employee said. Quote, Michael allows team members to contribute at all levels, which fosters a collaborative environment. His commitment to build trust with staff has made a difference in morale and contributes greatly to the positive change that has occurred. All of this directly impacts our mission to wake up every day and provide our veterans the best possible care. It's a great feeling to be proud of your boss and where you work, and I can honestly say I'm proud to work at the Holyoke Veterans Home because of Superintendent Michael Lazo. And as a secretary for the past 8 months, I can tell you that your cooperation, your attention to detail, your leadership there, without question, has changed the state of affairs there. We're honored to have you as a part of the team, and I know you had to drive all the way from Western Mass today, but we want you to stick around here, and we love having you here, and we thank you for everything you've done. Take a quick picture real quick. So I think now we'll ask if you guys want to do the ribbon cutting, and we'll have Robert Engel join us. And we will do multiple pictures here, so I think we're going to start off with just the principals here, and we'll move on to the board and the elected officials here. And actually, we'll do it here? Okay.